You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Patricia. Tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio.
We discovered that human potential is severely limited when you program humans like a machine, which is standard practice today for self-improvement.
The Ecosystem Approach teaches you how to uncover your infinite potential by using natural methods that are truly revolutionary. Join us now for the Ecosystem Approach show. Today's show will challenge conventional wisdom and beliefs that have been normalized. We're talking about pharmaceutical side effects as well as alternative methods that create discomfort, like cleanses. We'll talk about how you can avoid the serious side effects of traditional pharmaceuticals as well as with alternative treatments. Are those side effects really arbitrary and random? Or do we have real power to overcome them? This is a fascinating show. Stay tuned. We're married intuitives with over 20 years experience who created the Ecosystem Approach for you. This is much different because we see human beings as ecosystems that need to be restored instead of programmed. We show you how to take an energy approach for internal discovery that is rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. Jason, I know when I watch TV, we see all those ads about drugs for health conditions, but they always list, a long list, I should say it that way, of possible side effects that are really scary. But I also know that after a while, you start to, of course, tune them out. You have a unique perspective about why these side effects happen. Can you explain?
Sure. And that's what this whole show is about. But
Okay.
We understand pharmaceutical side effects in a way that is consistent with how we see health and illness.
Correct.
All symptoms, illness, and disease come from negative energy. That's the root. That's attached to the individual.
Correct.
From an energy standpoint, there's no difference between a physical problem and what might be termed an emotional, mental, or stress-related problem.
Okay.
So, whether you have a hangnail, a hemorrhoid, or I'm looking at a common cold, whatever.
Okay.
It always starts with negative energy. You scrape your arm, negative energy.
Yes.
There's no such thing as strictly physical symptoms. So just getting that out of the way. Here's something we don't talk about enough.
Okay.
And I want to bring it up now.
Okay.
We talk about these things that we see
Yes.
as intuitives. And how is that different from others who might have conflicting opinions?
All right.
We're going to talk a little bit about the vaccine today, the side effects with the vaccine.
Okay.
And people have a lot of opinions about that. People who have credentials and whatnot have
Correct.
a lot of opinions about that.
Correct.
What's different between what their opinions and what we're telling you right now?
Okay.
And our perceptions come from what we call refined intuition.
Meaning yours and mine.
Yes.
Okay.
And the clarity that comes as a result. We fully believe that the people who we're working with now, who are developing using the ecosystem approach, who are evolving using the ecosystem approach, will be able to look and see things to add more value to what we're seeing. But we fully believe that anybody that has developed their own refined intuition can see what we see. Or if we put this out there, it'll say, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I see that.
Okay.
So we're just throwing this out there for your consideration, but there's no indication that, oh yeah, this is exactly right, and this is, we
Right.
should never be questioned.
Okay.
I suspect what others that come behind us will add value or add clarity to what we're talking about now.
I agree with that.
So let's get started.
All right.
All illness and disease, as well as minor symptoms, come from negative energy attached to your essence. These negative energies start out as messages. So
A really good one.
Okay.
is when you're looking at that candy bar or that donut or whatever we're looking at, 9 chances out of 10, we get this little voice that says, you might want to think about that.
Or the other
Or
voice
the
that
way
says,
around, yes.
yeah, give me 10 more.
Yeah, give me 10 more. That's exactly right. But those are the messages that we have a tendency, and we've been programmed to ignore.
So the symptom, let's just put it all together,
Okay,
is low blood sugar with cravings, sugar cravings.
that's correct.
And so the response is, well, let's find that candy bar.
Yes, because I need my blood sugar to go up because I have to keep on going. I have to keep on doing what I'm doing. I can't stop. This is really important.
Exactly. So
Okay.
so that all could come from negative energy. You have to
That
look
is
at the
correct.
context.
Yeah,
Negative energy
absolutely.
is always coming. What's the difference between positive and negative energy is not something that's outside of yourself. It's personal to you.
That is correct.
So a craving for some person might be different from a craving from another person. One craving may be just something that, maybe something very mild, and not negative at all. And then for someone else, it could be a diabetic, for example.
Correct.
It could be life-saving.
Yes, that's
or
correct.
With a diabetic too, to have a candy bar at the wrong time could be could have catastrophic events.
That's correct.
So it's always personal. It always has to do with context in the moment, that sort of thing. But here's the thing, okay? Negative energy likes to be tricky and flexible.
Oh yeah.
So if it creates a symptom that let's see, let's take another disease, a rash, for example.
Okay.
This is one of the pharmaceuticals they have on TV now that help with eczema.
Yes.
And I've had eczema, and I have it from time to time. I've dealt with it naturally.
Yes, you
It
have.
works really well, but they have this pharmaceutical that I guess in the worst case can cause death.
Yes.
I see a rash as a form of shame.
And if you look at the metaphor, something's under my skin causing this shame.
So it could be a combination of the two.
That's correct.
The way you know for sure is to look at your specific emotional story.
Correct.
So you get the shame, and for that drug, for example, in the worst case, it can cause death. I would suspect that for that person, if it causes death in a particular person, it's because their negative energy of shame is so strong that when it cuts it off in one way, on your skin,
yes,
it expresses itself in another way.
It's going to look for another way,
and in that case would be death.
Right.
Now, the people who sell these pharmaceuticals would say, well, that's only a very, very small percentage.
But because of the law, we have to make those statements. Right. Okay.
Here's the thing,
frankly, I don't want to be that other very small percent that it causes death.
Well, and there was an old Army surgeon at Walter Reed who told me, this is when my first wife,
not me,
was being treated for cancer. And he said she had an 80% chance of survival. And he was telling me what that means. What that means is that for out of 100 people, 80 of them will live and 20 will die.
Correct.
If you're part of that group of 20, whether there's 80 people or 90 people
or two,
it doesn't matter. All that matters is for what happens to you personally.
That's correct.
So when they quote statistics and say, okay, it's only in a very, very small percentage, right, for you personally, the question is, what's going to happen to me? What are the side effects that are happened for me? It doesn't matter if it rarely happens, correct, but if it happens for you, it's a big deal.
Right.
So here's the thing, okay, and we're going to use this example all the way through the show. But my daughter had cancer at 14. Now, this was the same cancer as her mother, who died,
and in the exact same place.
But I guess the point is that she had the exact same cancer, but her mother had died from this cancer.
Correct.
And my my daughter manifested in the same place. And obviously I knew back then I didn't have the language. I wasn't doing this work at that point, but I knew that there was some sort of connection. There had to be some sort of connection.
Correct.
It just, my intuition was screaming at me. And in the next segment, we'll talk about the negative energy that continued to manifest in her life, even after she had a successful result from the treatment of chemotherapy.
Okay.
And how that energy can still be manifested in her life.
Correct.
It just goes to show about that's negative energy. So when we're talking about pharmaceuticals, it's always the negative energy. When you block it in one way, the negative energy says, well, okay, I'll regroup and find another way out.
Exactly.
Or I'll keep going.
Yes.
And I'll push through and create a side effect that's so horrific that,
or even small side effect.
Yes.
In other words, it's not about the degree, it's about that negative energy not going away.
Right.
But moving itself around either from pharmaceuticals or whatever, as opposed to clearing that negative energy, removing that negative energy from who's ever hosting that negative energy. Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
Our perceptions about drug side effects come from refined intuition and the clarity that comes as a result. All illness and disease, as well as minor symptoms, come from negative energy attached to your essence, to you personally. Negative energy likes to be tricky and flexible, and it can manifest itself using other symptoms.
Right.
The ecosystem approach teaches you to perceive and validate these energy perceptions in ways that are credible and true for you personally.
Very good. In the next segment, we're going to talk about how negative energy, the root cause of illness and disease, is directly related to pharmaceutical side effects and what you can do about it. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about how negative energy that is the root source of illness and disease is directly related to pharmaceutical side effects and what you can do about it. We are married intuitives with over 20 years experience who created the Ecosystem Approach for you. This is much different because we see human beings as ecosystems that need to be restored instead of programmed. We show you how to take an energy approach for internal discovery that is rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. Jason, what does negative energy attached to illness and disease have to do with pharmaceutical side effects?
Pharmaceuticals always focus on one symptom, illness, disease, condition. Then the negative energy, when the negative energy is really strong, it doesn't want to be blocked and creates a strong reaction. And those reactions or side effects come from the energy.
Yes.
So it's still all about the energy, whether you have a side effect or not. And if you're thinking to yourself after listening to the first segment, you're saying, hey, well, if the negative energy, if a pharmaceutical doesn't treat the negative energy, does that mean it's not really healing? And I'm going to say this. Yes. That drug that you're giving, whether it's something horrific like cancer or something mild, it just creates a giant game of whack-a-mole where you hit the symptom down over here and it pops up over here.
And it might not be the same symptom over here that it was to start.
Exactly.
Because we know that things change and weave to fit the situation that negative energy is in. So
if you're an energy person or not, what I'm saying, and just for your consideration, if you're saying, this can't be right, I'm saying that because traditional medicine, even alternative medicine, doesn't necessarily get to the root energy that's causing the problem.
Yes.
Therefore, they're not really healing in the true sense of the word. They're just moving some of these symptoms around.
And I can't resist because you know, and Jason, how do you actually get to the real healing? And I already know the answer, so I'm going to answer it.
She's setting up. She's my straight man.
Yes, there you go.
Or your straight man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
whatever. Yeah. Well, I can't go there anyway.
Okay.
The bottom line is that when you start using the ecosystem approach, you start to see, you start to know, you even start to feel that when negative energy is present and you start to remove it, that energy within changes.
It gets really powerful
Very.
when you start looking at your emotional story,
Correct.
which is the key for your
healing
or that energy that's attached to you.
Correct.
And see that it's not only present in this physical symptom that you have or this illness or disease.
Correct.
But it also affects your relationships or your money or your well-being.
Yes.
Or even maybe that car accident or something that just was quote unquote an accident.
Yes.
But maybe there was some negative energy attached.
Correct.
So here's the other thing, okay? When negative energy expresses a symptom, for example, it's a cancer or a rash, like we talked about last time, or whatever illness or disease. Diabetes is a big one today. Even being overweight, it's an expression of that negative energy.
Correct.
The question becomes, if you stop that, if you heal that particular symptom, where does it go? What happens to it?
Right.
And a lot of times healing it and what we know as healing doesn't really get to the negative energy. And because we see energy, we use our refined intuition to see energy. We've seen this over and over and over again. And what we've been doing, not only working on our health, we don't work specifically on our health as much as we work specifically on our emotional story.
Correct.
And it's taken us really far. We're able to go really deep.
Yeah.
So let's talk about let's give you some examples. I think that'll be really, really helpful. We've talked about this before with you had a heart valve replacement.
Yes.
And we saw when that was diagnosed about 10 years ago, 8, 9, 10 years ago, that there was an imbalance of giving and receiving. Well, her valve was leaking so that the blood didn't pump from one ventricle to the other in a smooth way. It leaked around. So the pressure wasn't what it should be. She wasn't.
And the balance wasn't what it should be. And I wasn't getting the oxygen that I needed.
Right. And they went in and they fixed it. It was considered a successful surgery.
By all means.
And her circulatory system has been doing really well ever since.
Right.
But there was a lot of negative energy that was released when that happened. And so the surgeon was kind of, fat, dumb, and happy. He wasn't fat, but he considered, and the medical profession considered, this was a successful surgery.
That's correct.
Right afterward, she had these intense migraines that took her to the ER three
different times. Yes.
There was vertigo. She was diagnosed with Meniere's disease, and that could be really, really serious. We kept working on that negative energy.
Exactly.
And we were able to deal with those symptoms. They couldn't deal with the surgeon didn't want to hear about the migraines. To him, it wasn't connected.
It wasn't connected. And by the way, I did not have migraine headaches before then.
Exactly. Some people suggest that it might have to do with the fact that you're on bypass, but that's still negative energy trying to come forward.
Yeah, speaking up.
Whenever you fix a part in the human being, that part contains negative energy.
Correct.
And it's released as you do that.
Yes.
So, if negative energy doesn't care whether it's how it's expressed.
No.
So it was expressing it in your heart. When they replaced that, they fixed that.
Yes.
It had to come out someplace else. So there was the migraines, the vertigo, the Meniere's disease. And it really affected your life for a while there. And we kept clearing and clearing. And the Meniere's disease right now is very mild. So some people are debilitated. They can't even function in the world.
When they get
because it's so difficult, so awful.
Well, it also causes major hearing loss.
Yes.
And vertigo, dizziness, even on its own.
Yes.
So yes.
So when negative energy doesn't get expressed like through the heart valve, it finds another way.
Correct.
Let's give you another example. Okay. We always think of energy effects are invisible because we think in a very, very narrow way of cause and effect. Even the medical profession says that like with your heart valve, that was a success.
Okay. Yes.
When you cure a cancer, when the cancer is in remission for over 5 years, they consider you cured.
That's correct.
You know, it doesn't matter if you get cancer someplace else. It doesn't matter if there's other things that happen in your life. They say that's a cure.
Correct.
That's looking very narrowly at cause and effect.
Correct.
And we're here to say today, it's not like that. And so when you're given a drug or whatever, so the best example was with my daughter.
Okay.
And you may have heard this before if you've been listening to our shows, but so my first wife, my daughter's mother, died of this awful cancer, and when she was like 8 years old. When she was 14, she was diagnosed with the same kind of cancer in the same place. Hodgkin's disease can manifest, it's a lymph node disease.
And we have lymph nodes all over our bodies.
But the fact that it was in the same place was very ironic. The oncologist at the time said that, hey, this is just coincidence. There's no link there, you know. Right. And I knew that wasn't true. So we just started to use a technique that's like talking to your, like what we do, except that it was much more primitive at the time. Okay. Talking to her body, and we determined that after 4 cycles of chemotherapy, she had enough.
But she was set for 6, right?
It was prescribed, 6 were prescribed.
That's the word, yes.
And she knew it was toxic. She knew that chemotherapy was negative and negative energy. It was negative energy trying to treat negative energy, which in a way can make sense for a time, but it doesn't necessarily get rid of the overall negative energy. So the doctor reported us to CCS, Child Protective Services, and here in California, and it was resolved eventually because we had signed a letter originally saying that this was an experimental treatment, and the people from CCS said, well, you can't say it's experimental on one hand, and we're not responsible, and then say she'll die if she doesn't finish it on another. So the doctor thought that was a terrible way of thinking about it, but you know, because he had no data that said you can go at 4 cycles and live. Right. Only data that he had was for 6 cycles. Well, obviously she's pregnant with her second child. She's 40 years old. It's been a long time. She's done really well. But here's the side effect that we were just talking about. When she was a teenager, this was after the treatment, she got together with this boyfriend who was every parent's nightmare. Okay. And I'm just going to leave it at that. But the guy was scary. And
by the way, not anything about them
made sense
at all. He was, I'm sorry, I have to say this. He was a nightmare. Yes. But he also,
they didn't match in looks, education,
anything,
background, upbringing,
nothing.
They did have the fact that their mothers died early,
and that's what brought them together. And that held them together. But come to find out later on, he was the kind of guy that was threatening her if she did anything that he didn't like. He threatened to kill my husband here.
And he knew that would really
stop her in her tracks.
So it was very awful.
Yes, it was.
That's negative energy.
Yes.
That's the chemotherapy. People don't see that as part of the cancer.
But it was part of the cancer.
And the cancer came from the negative energy, the trauma of having her mother die when she was 8 years old.
Exactly.
It is so obvious, yet it's not.
Exactly.
And that chemotherapy, of course, is a pharmaceutical. And whether it was a direct side effect of the chemo or the cancer, it doesn't matter. From our perspective, it's the negative energy that's causing the problem.
So, Jason, what is the key points of this segment?
There's one other thing I want to tell about alternative medicine. We'll do that in the next segment.
Okay, what are the key points?
Pharmaceuticals often help in one area, but make other areas worse. Don't get to the root cause.
Yes.
Negative energy doesn't care. If it's blocked in one way, it'll find another.
Exactly.
Healthcare today is a game of whack-a-mole where symptoms and illness are suppressed and managed without true healing. And the ecosystem approach is designed to teach you how to identify and remove negative energy associated with any symptom, illness, or disease.
In the next segment, we're going to talk about how to reduce and eliminate pharmaceutical side effects and create good outcomes for all medical or alternative treatments. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about how to reduce and eliminate pharmaceutical side effects and create good outcomes for all medical or alternative treatments. We are married intuitives with over 20 years experience who created the Ecosystem Approach for you. This is much different because we see human beings as ecosystems that need to be restored instead of programmed. We show you how to take an energy approach for internal discovery that is rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. Okay, Jason. I get that negative energy is the cause of negative side effects and bad health in general, of course, but I don't understand what to do to identify the negative energy in the first place.
It's simple or complex, but the best way to know is to know your emotional story.
Okay.
Everything relates back to that.
Okay.
And remember, if you've been listening for a while, you've heard us talk about this. It's not about what happened to you as a child. It's how you feel about what happened to you as a child.
Correct.
Two people can have the same experiences and have very different feelings.
Correct.
They can be traumatized by this over here, where the other one is not traumatized, but they're traumatized by something over here.
Correct.
Where, so when you look at siblings or whatever, it's different. But I wanted to go back and talk about the alternative medicine that we didn't get to in the last segment.
Oh, okay.
That negative energy, a lot of times with alternative medicine, you'll have cleanses, liver cleanses, gallbladder cleanses,
yes,
bowel cleanses,
sure.
Just generalized cleanses. And I know a lot of people who have used alternative medicine have used what they call chelation, which is getting rid of the heavy metals in your body.
Right,
like
right,
that.
right. Yeah.
If you go to the negative energy first, those cleanses and those processes will happen so much easier. And when it makes you really sick, they call it a healing crisis. When it makes you really sick, it means that the negative energy needs to be worked on first so that the cleanse can be just really gentle and easy and doesn't hurt very much.
Correct.
So just put that in the file cabinet.
Okay, there you go.
All
right.
So your emotional story is the best way to understand the energy affecting your symptoms and illness. Okay. So, for example, Patricia's emotional story is her mother used her as the maid and caregiver for her developmentally delayed sister. Mm-hmm. The other members of the families didn't have the responsibilities that you did.
Not that I remember.
That's a big deal. I mean, you were doing all the caregiving for your younger sister, but your older sister, was just like a year and a half older, was going out and playing. Mm-hmm. And that told her the way she felt about it, that she was unappreciated, used,
and I wasn't
exploited.
I wasn't good
and
enough.
She didn't deserve anything better.
Yes.
That all she deserved was doing the caregiving tasks, which are not very attractive.
Really difficult.
Yes. And she couldn't do the things that other family members could do. She felt judged and shamed. Mm-hmm. So that's her emotional story.
Yes.
All the symptoms that we have that we talk about, whether it relates to her heart valve or any of the symptoms we've talked about with her, relates back to that emotional story.
That's correct.
And that's how we know what to clear. Now, there's books out there that give you a metaphor for a particular condition, like diabetes, for example, is no sweetness in life.
Correct.
It's a form of depression. There's no sweetness there, so you eat sweets so you can compensate for that heaviness, that depression.
Yes.
But that's just a starting place. You have to look at your specific emotional story to really understand that.
Correct.
So, but it's important that once you understand your symptoms and illness and convert them into metaphors.
Correct.
People don't understand that. And
you could say, I'm just going to jump in and say, my heart valve replacement my heart was broken. My heart was broken because I was never acknowledged for all that I did, but I was also never acknowledged for who I am.
Well, and my daughter, who had a mass of cancer around her heart,
Correct.
you could say something similar, that her heart was broken because she lost her mother at 8 years. Yes,
at an early age.
it was
That's
very, very
exactly right.
traumatic. It
Yes.
was totally different symptoms.
Yes.
Totally different. Doctors wouldn't understand any sort of connection between a lymphoma and a mechanical heart problem.
Right.
They don't connect those two at all.
Right.
And one of the problems of traditional medicine is the fact that because they're so into specialties,
Yes.
they struggle to see the whole picture.
Yes.
So how does this so when you focus on the energies that are personal for you, that's where you get the best outcomes medically.
Correct.
And even the pharmaceutical side effects.
Right.
We haven't talked that much about pharmaceutical side effects, but it's all the same thing.
Correct.
So if you're struggling with a particular drug and it's having a side effect, go to your emotional story and clear the negative energy. And
the best example that, and we just talked about it, is my broken heart, your daughter's broken heart. Really, it was what it was, but then you take those negative energies away, meaning the hurt feelings and the hopelessness and the overwhelms and all of these things. And what you find is that there's this beautiful soul underneath it all.
Yes.
And
the most healing thing you can do in your life is to start removing the negative energy that's based on your emotional story.
That is correct.
Because that's how you identify the negative energy that's attached to you.
That is correct.
If this is speaking to you right now, you think, oh my gosh, I have these side effects, I have this medical condition, or just something else, go to our website right now, theecosystemapproach.org. Sign up for our free section. You'll get the clearings that we do. We're going to do this in the next segment every single week. And the more you do, the better off. The more you clear, the more negative energy is removed from you, and the better you'll feel, the lighter you'll feel.
Exactly.
But so here's the thing, okay? The medical profession is goal-oriented. So if you have a cancer, that all they'll consider is that specific cancer. They won't consider anything else.
Correct.
And that's what makes them myopic. That's what keeps them from the holistic view of you.
Right.
They don't look at you. They look at statistics.
Exactly.
About some sort of general population. And I can see, for a doctor, I can see why you would do that. But because you don't have the time to figure out who Patricia Roan is specifically.
Right.
You have to look at statistics and say, well, 90% of the time, if I do this, I'll get this result. So that's what I'll do.
Yes.
It may not help you.
Exactly. So, all right. So are we going to do key points
now?
All
yes.
right. Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
Your emotional story is the best way to understand the energy affecting your symptoms, illness, and disease. It's important to convert your symptoms, illness, and disease into metaphors so they can be cleared. Right. Focusing on the energies that are personal for you ensures the best medical outcomes and minimize side effects. Okay. And the ecosystem approach teaches you to see yourself and the world as ecosystems and how to heal those ecosystems in the best way.
Exactly. By the way, starting with yourself. So, Jason, let's teach everyone how to remove negative energy. And then in the next segment, we're actually going to remove negative energy, and we're also going to activate life force energy as well. So you ready to tell
Here we go.
There you go.
So your posture doesn't matter. You can be standing up, sitting down. You don't have to be reverent when you're doing this. I know a lot of people go into the lotus position. You could, but you don't have to. Okay. You can be walking. You can be doing some other mindless activity like doing dishes or
I do that all the time.
Yeah, cleaning.
Yes.
A lot of people clear in the shower.
Yeah, I do too.
It works really nicely. So and then when we say to eliminate, just imagine in your mind's eye gathering up those things that we say to eliminate. They're usually emotions, barriers, veils, and illusions. Just gather those up in your mind's eye, in your imagination, and blow them into the processor. I know Jacob's putting a picture of the processor up right now. It goes in the top there. It gets processed, and it comes out neutral.
Yes, hence Hence the processor.
Hence the process. It's the best way to get rid of negative energy.
Absolutely.
Because those other methods, you don't know where it's going exactly.
And you don't want to get up. You've done all this work, or you've sat down and removed stuff, but you don't want to get up and walk back into it.
Exactly.
Because energy isn't trivial.
Yes.
Everyone, I want to make sure I say that.
Well, and if you haven't guessed by now, we've made it a central part of our life.
Yes,
we think in terms of energy now,
all the time,
as opposed to the cause and effects, or what do I do about this? So we say, well, what's the energy?
Right.
And then we remove it.
Exactly. And by the way, we've been very successful with that, I'm happy to say. But then the next thing, after we remove all the negative energy that we're going to remove today, what we're going to do is we're going to activate life force energy. Life force energy is the most powerful energy that anyone has access to. We're going to ask for it to come in through the top of our head. We're going to ask it to go all the way through our body and pick up negative energies along the way. And then we're going to ask it to stop at the tips of our toes. We're going to ask it to turn around, and we're going to blow out any negative energy left over. And when we do that, we give that life force energy the ability to heal us. And by the way, I don't know anyone that couldn't use a good healing by any means at all. So stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to help you start to remove the negative energy from your emotional story so you can reduce or eliminate any drug side effects you have now. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to help you to start removing the negative energy from your emotional story so you can reduce or eliminate any drug side effects or any effects that you're having from any condition right now that you don't need at the moment. So, Jason, you ready?
Here we go.
All right.
I direct all my resources and all dimensions to eliminate the barriers so I can see that pharmaceutical side effects come from too much negative energy.
Nice and easy. Take a breath and blow it out. We're going to shorten it up just a little bit, and to eliminate the barrier so I can see that the root cause of symptoms, illness, and disease is negative energy. Take a breath and blow it out.
And to eliminate the intense feelings of worry, anxiety, and stress that I have that could be creating the drug side effects.
Take a breath. And to eliminate any feelings of fear, hurt, and shame that I have that is bad energy and can make me sick and create side effects. That's a concept in itself. Take a breath and blow it out.
And to eliminate the barriers so I can see that drug side effects always come from negative energy.
Take a breath. And to eliminate the barrier so I can see that drug side effects come from negative energy, and the more there is, the greater the side effect. And usually that negative energy is already present even before you start taking
the drug.
Take a breath.
So putting it all together, any feelings of fear and terror I have that drugs or vaccine will create real harm, when the truth is it's the bad energy that creates the harm.
Yes.
And
I'm glad you made that point, because it's the truth.
And it doesn't mean that, I guess there's negative energy attached to vaccines and drugs.
Of course.
Like chemotherapy, that's a strong poison. Okay.
Yes, it is.
And there's negative energy there, but
correct.
It's look at the negative energy first,
Yes.
not the
Yes, because the negative energy that's connected to the drug or the vaccine or whatever, when you get rid of the negative energy first, then it won't be so hard to deal with. That's really what we're trying to say. That's the whole show in a nutshell. And to eliminate the barrier so I can see that focusing on removing negative energy is the key to health and minimal side effects. Take a breath, nice and easy. And
to eliminate any resentment I have that drugs and traditional medicine is toxic, when in reality, it's the negative energy.
Take a breath. And to eliminate any resistance I have to seeing that the root cause of side effects is negative energy, not the drugs. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions, so I can see that I have the power within me to overcome drug side effects and illness and disease by removing and clearing the negative energy, which is the root cause of all of it.
Take a breath and throw it away. And to eliminate the barrier so I can see that identifying my emotional story is the best way to clear all the negative energy at the root for my best health. Nice and easy. Take a breath and blow it out.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that negative energy is the root cause of all of my issues and problems, not only the drug side effects and illness and disease.
Take a breath and blow it out. Now let's activate some life force energy. Remember, most powerful energy in the world. Follow along. Here we go. And to activate life force energy so I can use this life force energy to begin today to heal myself and see what's in my way and remove it. We're going to pull in that life force energy right here. We're going to let it go all the way down our body to the tips of our toes. We're going to ask it to stop right there. We're going to ask it to turn around. And when it comes back up, I'm going to ask it to collect all the negative energy that we've been talking about in the show today is a really good example, so that I can be happy and healthy starting right now and have relief from any pain that I'm in right now. Take a breath and blow out any negative energy left over. Jason?
And to activate life force so I can have hope to have my best life by focusing constantly on removing the negative energy that's present attached to me.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
Take a breath, pull it in. Now turn it around and throw it away. And to activate life force so I can trust that removing negative energy is the most effective and efficient way to live my life. Right now, pull it in. Let that life force energy just go in and soothe all that pain and blow out any pain that you're holding on to. Throw it away.
And to activate life force so I can decide to focus on removing the bad energy to minimize or eliminate pharmaceutical side effects.
Take a breath, pull it in, and blow it out. And to activate life force so I can be happy and healthy and have laughter and love of myself, and have the awareness to understand that by removing negative energy and using the ecosystem approach, I can live a long, strong, healthy, active, loving, caring life starting right now today. Pull that in. Give yourself permission to be happy and healthy. Blow out any negative energy left over. Jason, what are we going to talk about next week?
We've had this question so many times over the years.
Yes.
You know, people think, well, I want to be in the flow. I want to be, when I'm evolved, won't everything just be easier? Won't I just everything be love?
By the way, I'm laughing
and,
because I know the answer to this one.
And it's not a black and white question.
Not at all.
But we're going to talk about what happens as you start to evolve.
Yes.
And how that affects your ability to deal with the world, and what to really expect
and what you can do about it.
Right. Because the ecosystem approach is one of the few processes out there that really helps you evolve. A lot of them just piddle around the edges, but they don't go deep enough.
Right. I agree.
Into your emotional story, which is the key here.
Okay.
So if today's show touched you in some way, if that idea about the pharmaceutical side effects, or even your health condition that you have, or even something else, if you want more of that, here's the way to do that. Watch our show every week. We're here at the same time. Go to our website right now, theecosystemapproach.org. Sign up for our free section. It is so simple. You get a weekly newsletter that has the clearings there. The more you do the clearings, the better, the more you remove the negative energy, the better off you'll be.
That's right.
So theecosystemapproach.org. Go there right now. And go to our Facebook page,
Okay.
also theecosystemapproach.org, and you can see all of our videos there. Like us while you're there, please. We appreciate that like.
Yes.
And take a look. You can also ask questions or suggest.
Well, and if you would talk, we're getting ready to set up a subscription service, aren't we, Jason?
Yes, and if you're signed up for the free section, when the subscription service launches, you'll be ready and you'll be the first to know.
Nice. I absolutely love that. So we'll connect next week, Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Eastern Time. This is Transformation Talk Radio, and you're listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia.
Remember, your ecosystem is the most important one in the world.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. I'm Patricia. Tune in every week as we discuss practical ways to apply the ecosystem approach and develop your potential to live your life on your terms. For more information, visit our website at theecosystemapproach.org.